Do you enjoy being interviewed?
Not particularly. Depends who's doing it. Yes, I do. Yes, it depends who's doing it.
Don't worry, I haven't taken offence. What's the worst thing about your life today?
Today?
Yeah, no, as in now.
I can't think of anything particularly bad about my life right now, to be honest with you. I can't think of anything particularly bad. The very worst thing actually right now this second is that we've got no food in the fridge for dinner.
Okay,
which while you were interviewing me, I thought, what the hell are we going to have for dinner? But big deal. I can't think of anything dreadful in my life.
What keeps you awake at night?
Virtually anything. I'm a completely insomniac. If I work too late, I can't get to sleep. If I read something that I like or don't like, I can't get to sleep. Yeah, anything will disturb my sleep, absolutely anything.
Have you read 50 Shades of Grey?
No, I haven't. Have you?
Why? I have. Why haven't you?
Well, if I'm truthful, it's because I promised my editor I wouldn't.
Oh.
Anyway, I read Story of O. I don't need 50 Shades of Grey. I read the real thing.
But why did you have to promise your editor that
it was a joke.
Oh.
But he said, oh, don't read it. So I said, all right, then I won't.
I don't think you feel like you're missing out, do you?
Not wildly, no. But, well, I don't know. It could be amazing, but no, I haven't read it.
Which way will you vote in the Scottish referendum?
I am pro-union. I would rather we stayed. I think devolution's been fantastic for Scotland, but I think independence. Personally, I'm not pro-independence.
And what's the best novel you've read in the last year?
I would say, Song of Apollo, I loved, and yeah.
Do you have a guilty pleasure when it comes to reading?
Whodunits.
Whodunits.
But I don't feel particularly guilty about them. Whodunits of the Golden Age, I really love. I love a good Dorothy L. Sayers, yeah. But I don't feel guilty about that. There's nothing wrong with.
There's no shame in Dorothy.
No shame in a Dorothy. No, there's no shame in Dorothy.
There were loads of rumours that you were going to write a crime novel.
Yes, all started by Ian Rankin.
What happened? Explain.
Well, I think Ian and I did once have a conversation in which he quite rightly said that the Potter novels are, in the main, whodunits, and there's one why done it. So we were talking about that and the construction of that kind of novel, and that led to him telling everyone that I was writing a crime novel, which was never the case. Well, I never told Ian that I wanted to write. As far as I remember it, I didn't tell him that I wanted to write a crime novel. But yeah, that's where that came from, I think.
And what happened to the political fairy tale for children? There
still
was talk
there.
of that.
It's still on my laptop, and yeah, I really like it, and I think at some point I will finish it. It's very near completion, but it's got to take its place in the queue because there are quite a few things.
Do you know what the next book will be? What the publishers will be?
Yeah, I think it will be a different novel for children, which is also quite near completion. It's just because I don't know why. I just think it will be that one, but I wouldn't want anyone to hold me to that because I like to be able to free to change my mind. I spent a long time committed to the next thing I was going to write, so it just feels great now that I can choose.
And if you could be compared to any author in your fantasy literary review where they draw an analogy between you, which would be the author that you would most love to be likened to?
Oh my God. Well, I've written such different things. So on the children's side, a writer I always loved as a child, and I'd love her still, was E. Nesbit. And on the adult side, I don't really know. I think that The Casual Vacancy is quite it's quite trollopy, to coin a nice adjective, in a way. So if anyone wanted to say that it was like one of those 19th century quite parochial novels, a Trollope or a Dickens or something like that, that would be a very, very, very flattering analogy, yes.
Some people say my child just simply isn't interested in books and she is never going to read, there's no point trying. Is there ever such a thing as a child who wouldn't and couldn't enjoy a book?
No. No. Well, I mean, unless that child is, you know, God forbid, in a coma or something. No, I don't accept that. And I think the way in is to read them books. Start by reading them books. Some children, I mean, as an ex-teacher, I can certainly testify to the fact that some children are very intimidated by the process of reading, of having to physically read, and some children have problems with that. But you can still lead them to a love of books by you just finding a really good story and reading it to them. It's not that difficult. Unless, of course, the parent has literacy problems. So sometimes then it is difficult, but then you would hope that at the child's school there is a teacher who loves books enough that they will read to the class.
Is the Kindle the future of literature, or is it the death of publishing?
It's somewhere in between. It's certainly, in my view, I think it certainly has, there's no doubt it's had a huge impact on publishing. But for all the doom-mongering among writers and publishers, some of them, not all of them, about Kindle, we should all be encouraged that people do still want to read on whatever device it is. So let's just be grateful for that, for number one. I mean, personally, I will always be faithful to paper, and I love a physical book. But I do understand the appeal of the digital book, particularly when you're travelling, particularly when you're away from home. So I think it can be both, yeah.
If parents want their kids to read, should they stop them watching telly?
It wouldn't hurt, but I think that personally I believe in a fairly balanced approach. I don't believe in making the television taboo or banning it completely, but I read to my kids nightly, ideally. It doesn't always happen when bedtime's very late and, you know, people need to be put to bed. But yeah, I read to my kids, and they are allowed to watch telly, but I'm watching what they're watching, you know, so it's not uncontrolled.
Who have you been most starstruck about meeting?
Barack Obama. And there's a guy called Bob, I'm going to get his name wrong, this is terrible. He knew Bobby Kennedy, and he was a speechwriter for Teddy, and he was unbelievably fascinating. I could have talked to him for days and days on end. It's something like Schwamm.
Yeah,
anyway, it's amazing.
Yeah.
And yeah, I could have sat and talked to him for a week. So yeah, that was bigger than starstruck. He was just such a fascinating man.
Have you ever had to actually go out in disguise to avoid people stopping you in the street and talking to you about Harry Potter?
I've never done it for those reasons, but I did buy a wedding dress in disguise.
Oh, you bought your wedding dress?
Yeah, my own wedding dress. It's not a random wedding dress for fancy dress purposes. No, that's the only time I've ever done that. I was just, yeah, I just wanted to be able to get married to Neil without any rubbish happening, so yeah.
What was your disguise? What did it consist of?
I don't want to tell you in case I need to use it again.
Are you planning on getting married again? I don't think so.
No, I won't be buying a wedding dress again, but I might want to buy something else that I don't want everyone to know about. So, and as it worked, I'm going to yes,
are you eternally grateful that people think that you're called J.K. Rowling when your name is really Jo Rowling? Is that helpful?
I answer to both. I can't remember the last time I corrected someone when they said Rowling. In fact, America, I think everyone thinks I'm J.K. Rowling, so I just answer to both. Rowling is a fairly horrible name anyway, so, you know, some might argue it's improved by being mispronounced.
Are you relieved now that your original publisher said you should be J.K. rather than Jo, in terms of being able to protect your anonymity?
I do really like having my pen name, and yeah, I do. There's something about it. There's something about having that identity. It makes me feel there's a nice division between Jo the writer and Jo the mother, which is the main split in my life. You know, well, Jo the mother is the place where I want to be most private. It's the place where I suppose I'm like least writerly in a way, and I'm least a public persona. So yeah, it's nice to have that split.